Welcome to another edition of Torn Tuesdays. My name is Justin, and this is our weekly show where we talk about everything that has to do with The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, and everything else that a fantasy geek could want. So welcome. Today, we're going to talk about the history of the dwarves, Part 3. The history behind Ori, Nori, and Dori. I will be joined by my host and co-host, Cliff Broadway, whenever he gets here. We will also be joined by another special guest, if he gets here. In the meantime, it's just me. And before we start on the background of where the dwarves come from, what their motivations are, and why certain actors were cast in the movies to portray these dwarves, let's talk a little bit about pop culture. Shall we? I have right beside me an iPad full of trustworthy goodness and chat rooms. And if you're just joining us for the first time, you can follow along at theonering.net/live, where there is a chat room. It's free, and you don't have to put your real name. You can put anything you want, and I can follow along and chat with all the fans. And I'm seeing right now that we have Gothy and Bofer's wife, Alex and Vince. Thank you. Justin, you sound creepy today. Justin is lit like the Hobbit t-shirt. Is this the Twilight Zone? No, this is the Tolkien Zone. And I'm usually the co-host, but Cliff Broadway doesn't like to show up on time for his own show, ever. I don't think there's ever been a day where he's been on time. Most of you should know you watch every week. Hi Jenny. Tales from the Crypt, Tolkien style. I'm very dark, says Jenny. Dark skin. My humor is dark. My tone is dark. He's reminding me of Dante from Clerks. Interesting. Speaking of Clerks, Kevin Smith just finished this script to Clerks 3, his final film and triumphant return and exit from the movie biz. And you know how these things go. He'll be back. I know he'll say, this is the last movie I'm doing. It's coming full circle. I'm out. I can't deal with the stress of making movies. But if history has taught us anything in entertainment, people always come back. There's a lot of money to be made. The Eagles got back together. And what did they call their reunion tour? An album? Hell Freezes Over. George Lucas said, you'll never get another Star Wars. And then 20 years later, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace prequel. And then when Episode 3 came out, George Lucas said, that's it for Star Wars. There's no more stories to tell. I'm not doing any more Star Wars, it's done. And now, we're getting not only 7, 8, 9, but a lot more Star Wars movies. Peter Jackson himself said, I don't want to return to Middle Earth. It was a great experience, but it was a lot of stress. And there were lawsuits with Warner Brothers. Remember that? There's a lot of deals. And Peter Jackson said, I don't want to do it. In fact, I just want to produce, give it to Guillermo del Toro. And then he turned around and said, I'll direct The Hobbit. And then he said, I'll direct 2 Hobbit movies. And then he said, I'll direct 3 Hobbit movies. So the point is, never say never. So I believe Kevin Smith will return, even though he says he won't, after Clerks 3. I also believe that the Silmarillion will continue after The Hobbit comes out. And so, as we speak, on this special edition of the Tolkien Zone, we have a special guest coming in with us right now. Actually, not that special, just your normal, everyday Ent.
Hello there. We are here in the deep, darkness of Khazad-dûm.
Indeed.
We are here in
Welcome.
the dark, dwarven caverns of Khazad-dûm. My goodness, what interesting ambient lighting we have today.
Yes, we were just talking about
Hello, everybody.
How you never say never, and never say Clerks 3 script was done, and Kevin Smith said he'll never do another movie. Now he's doing another movie. George Lucas said we'll never do another Star Wars. Peter Jackson said I'll never do another Middle Earth movie. Well,
True.
We got all the above, and in fact, the reason I bring up George Lucas is today's his birthday.
Who's George Lucas's birthday?
Yeah, George Lucas's birthday.
Is he the one who turned off the lights?
And you know who else's birthday? Kate Blanchett.
Oh no, really? The Galadriel birthday is
Galadriel's birthday. She was birthed. That's what we're saying. She was birthed. That beauty is eternal, but that body was birthed.
Indeed, it was quite a while ago. According to Noldorin standards, I think the elf Galadriel is 7,000 something years old, maybe more than 7,000 years old, perhaps.
She looks great.
She looks great for her age.
So some other.
My hat's off to you, Kate. You look lovely. Happy birthday, Kate Blanchett.
I don't have a hat today. Other news today, we've just got confirmation that ABC has picked up The Quest. So, The Amazing Race is on CBS, and
yes, it is.
The Quest, which is scheduled for a fall or winter show, that means they would have to film this over the summer, over the next several months. So, The Quest will be on ABC. It's currently planned as 12-person competition.
That's what was in the press release, yes.
No teams, but we have it on good authority that they're still considering having 12 teams instead of just individuals. There's something about the dynamic, and I think teams work better for a show because Amazing Race is wonderful with teams, and the story of Lord of the Rings has to do with pairs. Frodo and Sam. They couldn't have done it except as a team. Merry and Pippin. Everything is paired up.
Yes,
everything is paired up in Lord of the Rings, and I think The Quest should be paired up. What do you think?
I think we should pay the light bill, just like some of our friends are joking in the room. I think we should pay the light bill. I am excited by the idea of the Quest TV show being built around classic RPG style of games.
Yeah.
If they're going to put people into a competition show, maybe if they put them together in groups, they could be groups of adventurers who are going on a quest in much the same way that they do in classic Dungeons and Dragons games or in all the modern day video games. The RPGs set the standard for certain character classes that come together and unify to join the same quest and achieve the same goals together.
I agree.
So we'll see what they are developing.
It would
learn
be
more
really
as we go
fun.
along.
We're everybody is sending their best and brightest to try to be on that show. The other show that's still casting is King of the Nerds season 2.
Oh, really?
And we actually have a connection to season 1 show. There was a contestant, I forget, I think his name was David, but I could be wrong. David is a close personal friend of our new OneRing.net staff member, Ashley.
That's lovely. She's a lovely lady.
And so one of her friends, she knew that, everybody thinks, oh, these shows are just full of actors and they're staged, but it turns out she actually knows, and he was a geek, or a big nerd. So people do make it on the show.
Oh, yes, indeed. Tell me, Mr. Justin,
Yes.
how are you today?
I'm well.
Everyone's asking, where's Adam? He will be arriving later on when he has the chance to come through Beverly Hills Hollywood traffic to get here.
Oh, yes.
As I just did myself.
Traffic is crazy because today is the Hollywood premiere of Star Trek Into Darkness.
That's why most of Hollywood Boulevard was cordoned off.
Star Trek Into Darkness, which a lot of us have seen.
I saw it quite a few days ago.
I think there's been a screening here in LA like every day for the last 2 weeks.
Everybody in LA has already seen it. I don't know if they expect to sell any more tickets in LA.
I know.
Because everyone's seen it.
I've got my tickets tomorrow for the screening at Paramount.
Very cool.
Right there on Melrose. So, what's your one-word review of Star Trek Into Darkness?
Exciting. Exciting. It's a very exciting film.
Are you a Cumberbitch?
I am. Does that mean I'm a fan of Cumberbatch? Yes.
Yes.
I'm a Cumberbitch. Yeah. Ever since I saw him in Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, I realized what a talent this man was. But tell me something. Riddle me this, Batman. Is there a light switch I can flick on to get these fluorescents back on?
You know what? I'll go turn on the lights.
Oh, are we doing quiet story time? Is this...
I thought this was...
gather around the candlelight.
Gather around the campfire. I wish, if
we
the
had a campfire.
fire codes permitted, I would have a... So maybe...
Let me tell you something.
Maybe before... when we start up this, maybe before Ori gets here, we can go into Nori and Dori.
I would love to go into Nori and Dori before Ori gets here. He's the last person.
I'm sorry,
I
interrupted
no,
what you were going to say.
You didn't interrupt anything at all.
So
I'm gonna go. I'm
gonna go get the lights.
Don't spoil Cliff. I'm not going to spoil anything about Star Trek Into Darkness, but I will say that after seeing his performance, Benedict Cumberbatch will be a big star by the time all these movies come out this year. Everybody's going to know his name. People will be saying, who was that guy in the Star Trek movie? Wow, he was intense. And then they're going to hear him as Smaug, the dragon, and they'll probably see a little bit of his motion capture as the necromancer. See? You say a dirty word, necromancer, and then bam, the lights come on. I guess that was the secret word of the day at Pee-wee's Playhouse. Necromancer was the word we were looking for. Yes, hello everybody. Welcome back to Torn Tuesday. I'm very, very excited to be here. And I will say that Star Trek Into Darkness is going to be most enjoyable to original Trek fans who are familiar with the theatrical movies from the 80s. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, being particularly important to the context and the flow of everything that happens in the film Into Darkness. So, I recommend for those of you younglings who have not ever been around the block of the old Star Trek films, you should go take a look at Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, with the wonderful...
Spoilers. Oh my god!
There is no spoiler. There's just a recommendation. I haven't spoiled a bloody thing. Are you kidding me? Someone's in the distance crying foul at me. Justin is crying foul for no reason. Listen, I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying that you're going to enjoy Star Trek Into Darkness either way, but you will enjoy it much, much more in its fuller context if you are familiar with Wrath of Khan, the amazing film that is everyone's favorite, that has been referenced and joked about on South Park and Family Guy, and every show in between, everybody knows Wrath of Khan. So check that out before you go and see Into Darkness. So that's it. No spoiling. There's no other spoilers. I'm just saying. Just check it out.
You got me
check
nervous.
it out. All right. And
Keep an eye
I
out
will
for him
say
downstairs.
that Mr. Cumberbatch is going to be a big star. He's got so many big movies coming out this year. This is the year of the dragon, I guess. You know, it's really going to be remarkable.
Is it the year of the dragon?
It's actually the year of the snake.
You know,
according to Chinese
I
zodiac.
try to get
We'll take
artistic once in a while, and nobody likes it. I thought, you know, little mood lighting, and you know, a more personal show with you guys, and you guys didn't want to do it. So we got a big show, exciting,
really big
so,
show. We have a
really big show.
show.
But before that, we have a really big shirt.
We have a big shirt.
We're taking it offline tonight.
No, really?
We got to send it to the printers.
Okay,
So
okay.
we're taking it offline tonight. If you go to the onering.bigcartel.com or just go to our Facebook page, there's a shop icon right at the top next to photos, and you can see our new shirt. I like big books, and I cannot lie. That was designed by our folks based on a popular meme that's been floating around. So I like big books, and I cannot lie. It's available in men's and women's sizes and a whole plethora of colors. Pinks and yellows and browns and blues and reds and oranges.
That sounds nice.
So it's our first time we've offered any sort of popular colors, neon colors, on any shirts. So we're taking those offline tonight.
Are we going to go do any glow-in-the-dark ink on a future shirt, maybe?
Possibly.
He has made some great glow-in-the-dark shirts with these logos. You don't even know it until you accidentally shut off the lights, like we did a minute ago, and you realize, oh, I'm all radiated. I'm glowing. Really cool.
Torn After Dark. If you
Dark.
watch Torn After Dark, you know what we're talking about. So let's start up on the history of dwarves, part 3. Nori Ori Dori.
Dori was one of the other dwarves in the company who made quite a good lasting friendship with Bilbo, besides Balin. And we're going to go into the Dori, Nori, and Ori group on today's webcast, because one of those actors who played one of those 3 brothers
Hopefully.
will actually, hopefully, get through traffic and make it here by the end of the show. Dori, you'll notice, is in the book carrying Bilbo on his shoulders, piggyback, as they're trying to escape the Great Goblin under the Misty Mountains. And as Gandalf,
Right at the edge of the cliff.
as Gandalf is leading them, oh, they're still under the mountains at this point in the story, when they're trying to, escape the Goblin tunnels. Bilbo has been separated in the film at a different point than it happens in the book. In the book, Bilbo is there for the encounter with the Great Goblin, when Gandalf shows up in that big flash of white light, and that blinds everyone for a minute. But in the book, Dori is the actual dwarf who is carrying Bilbo, and then hits his head on a tunnel. Bilbo falls off into the darkness and disappears into the darkness, and no one can find him. And that is where Bilbo ends up being separated from Thorin and company and encounters Gollum. You guys have to understand this.
So it wasn't
in the movie. It's quite different.
In the movie, which was one of the big issues with the movie, was this cartoony landslide into nowhere.
What cartoony landslide?
Oh my god, they fall down, and then it's like, oh, I'm at raging waters, and oh, Bilbo goes off that slide, and the dwarves go off that slide, and oh, and
Oh, you mean when they're on that scaffolding and the thing collapses and starts to slide right down through the chasm?
the whole thing was a joke. Like, there was nothing in Lord of the Rings that was as cartoony
not realistic.
as that
It was
entire scene.
That's because they're making a different movie that is different in tone from The Lord of the Rings, in case you haven't noticed. And
Tone has nothing to do with the
writers,
action.
The writers and the director have said, we always visioned this story as being more of a golden-hued fairy tale, And Fran Walsh said, our approach to this storytelling is a bit different. That's why we have Radagast with Sebastian and all the animals. And
Look, I don't
that's
mind
why we
some
have-
of this, but like completely
There's-
deviating from the book and like having them like you can still sing the song of Goblin Town, but this slide of slides, in Lord of the Rings when they're in the stairwell like breaks apart and like it's completely. Like the concept is a little unbelievable.
A little,
but
it's just as unbelievable.
But
that
it
the
is
weight
executed.
Of one human and one hobbit could be enough weight to change the way
Right.
45 tons of column rock is going to tip or move in a different direction. Considering the way that the thing was cracking and breaking apart, it's just as unrealistic.
Right,
And we
but
don't
no,
care
but the Hobbit
about
slide
realism of that.
slide into Doom was completely, and
it
then
was
Bilbo
actually- no,
falls
it was-
off into infinity and then lands right next to her. Like the whole.
I'll tell you something.
Ugh.
It was not that unrealistic compared to other action sequences you see in a lot of movies. That's why we have temporary suspension of disbelief, my dear boy. That's why these movies work. Because we're willing to go along with the fact that, that Grievous is only about 20%, 15% human. The rest of him is droid, and he can spin his lightsabers that fast. And anybody can actually withstand the onslaught of General Grievous. Well, they do.
That
and
was
they
that was
eventually-
lame too.
That was. I mean, come on. I mean, it happens in every movie that there's a.
Let's
wildly-
compare cartoon lameness
There's
with
a-
another cartoon lameness.
That's not lame. Why was it lame? Did you see Howl's Moving Castle by chance? There's a moment.
That's great.
There's a moment at the very end of
Which
Howl's
you're doing
Moving
a live
Castle.
action version of.
Oh, they must. That would be wonderful. Howl's Moving Castle has a shot in Miyazaki's animated version at the very end where the only thing left of the castle is a platform of wood. The remaining characters are struggling to stay atop it. The legs underneath it collapse, and it starts to whoosh down the side of a mountain, and it gets stuck in a wedge at the bottom. It's exactly what Peter Jackson did. Exactly. And I don't mind it at all.
Okay.
I don't mind. I think these filmmakers are trying to give us action sequences that play fast and loose with the rules of physics and gravity. It happens in every action film.
Here's the problem
It's
is
just the way it is.
here's the biggest issue I have is that Lord of the Rings was created for a mature audience, but kids enjoyed it because it wasn't dumbed down to their level. It was, the Lord of the Rings films were adult films that children could enjoy, and they enjoyed being treated as an adult, as a mature viewer. That's why so many kids loved it. And we have the reverse going on in The Hobbit. But
okay, Vince is correcting me that Grievous was not even human, but organic alien. But he was
Organic,
mostly bionical and droidical and androidical. He was not even organic hardly at all. He was mostly, parts. But anyways,
okay, so
the bigger point is that Dori, as we were talking about our good dwarvish friend Dori,
right.
Dori was carrying Bilbo piggyback in the book, trying to escape from the goblin tunnels, and Bilbo falls over. I think he cracks his head, falls over, and disappears into the darkness. And all the other dwarves blamed Dori later on for, quote, losing our burglar. You've lost our burglar, Dori. So Dori is somebody who also has a quick, breathless escape when the eagles are carrying them out of the fire. And you'll see Bilbo is not able to grab onto an eagle. There are no more eagles available for Bilbo. He ends up grabbing Dori's legs and hanging on for dear life while Dori is being carried by one of the eagles. That's how that happens in the books. Okay?
All right, so you know what? Let's back up. Like, why do these dwarves travel? Okay, Nori, Ori, and Dori.
Mm-hmm.
They arrive at Bilbo's house together.
Uh,
Are they related? Like, when are we introduced to them? And are they? Do they arrive in the same order in the movie that they arrived in the book?
Actually, there is a whole lot of dwarves who show up all at once, like they do in the film. And this This is
Okay,
me,
so
this is me checking in the book real quick.
so the book and the movie are similar, where there's a couple
Yeah.
dwarvish character introductions, and then suddenly just like
Sure.
blah.
Sure.
Here's the rest of them.
Feely and Keely had already been inside Bilbo's house.
Right.
Balin and Dwalin were the first to arrive, as we know. Dwalin was first. Since this, we're following the sequence of who shows up when. And then, as soon as Bilbo pulls open the door, he hardly turns the knob. Bag end door opens wide, and all these dwarves are all inside. Dori, Nori, Ori, Owen, and Glowing. 5 of them. And very soon, according to the book, very soon, 2 purple hoods, 1 gray hood, a brown hood, and a white hood were hanging on the pegs, and off they marched with their broad hands stuck into their gold and silver belts.
So they were
wearing
wearing.
others.
So they were wearing purple hoods.
Some of them were wearing different colors. Yes, actually
So
Dori is described as wearing a purple hood.
So
Yes.
so Nori, Ori, and Dori
Our brothers.
are purple. Are the purple brothers?
Well, no, I mean
It says there's 3 purple hoods.
there's two purple hoods, a gray hood, a brown hood, and a white hood.
Oh, I thought you said.
That's okay.
Okay,
Now,
so they do arrive next in line.
and Tolkien describes Dori as a rather decent fellow, despite his grumbling. Thorin.
So he's grumpy.
Thorin describes Dori as the strongest person on the team, which doesn't translate in the film. We look at the film and think that Dwalin would be the strongest
Yeah,
person on
big
the team.
burly dude.
In the movies, my buddy Mark Hadlow plays Dori, and according to the press notes, the press release, and all the information that Warner Brothers put out,
Right.
they decided in the film that Dori was going to have a little bit of a maternal instinct. He's more matronly in a sense, and I literally read this in the press release. Dori is more of the caretaking type, and that's why you see him in the film trying to make sure that everyone's taken care of and everyone's eating properly, because he's being a bit maternal.
Okay.
He's trying to make his brother eat lettuce, and his brother Ori is there in Rivendell and has no desire to eat the lettuce, and he just says, I hate green food. And Dwalin says, "Where's the meat?" Picking at the elf salad. So
Dory's the one that says.
Dori's the one who says, "Just try it. Just take a bite." And Dori is the one who pours Gandalf that little miniature glass of wine.
Oh yeah, so he's kind of the host.
A fruity bouquet.
A fruity bouquet. Yes, that's
Oh,
correct.
so he's the gray guy with that. Yeah.
He's got silver white hair that is very, very braided, and he's got a round button nose, and he's just as funny and as cute as can
I'm
be.
gonna ask if he wants any chip.
That's Dori. Yes,
Dory.
When Ori gets
When
here,
Ori
we'll
gets
ask
here.
him about that.
So Dory. So do we have any inclination who's the oldest? First off, are they brothers?
Yes, Nori, Dori, and Ori are all brothers.
And are they related to any of the other folk?
Actually, yes, they are direct descendants in Durin's line.
And
They're in the House of
Durin's
Durin.
line has to do with Gimli.
Well, no, Durin's line has to do with the forefathers of Thorin and his.
So they're
great
related to
grand-
Thorin.
Oh yes, they are.
They're
in a way.
cousins
I think so.
or nephews.
I'm looking up.
No. Feely and Keely are Thorin's nephews,
That's right.
and
direct
so
nephews.
Ori Nori Dori are in the line of Doran, so they might be second cousins thrice removed,
They might
or
be.
something like that.
Yes.
And-
Let's see here. Here's the.
Dory have the ear horn?
Mhm.
Does Dory have the ear horn?
No, Dori does not have the ear horn. That is
Okay.
Owen.
Okay, that's
That's
it.
Owen Glowing.
That's another. That's
Yes,
another.
That's
So
another episode.
so Dory is a silver-haired guy that's super nice and wants to pour everybody a drink and eat up and make sure you're having a good time. And what can I get you? Nori. Nori is what?
No, now, Dori, as we know, is played by Mark Hadlow, and Dori is portrayed in the book as being more personable and more friendly to Bilbo than a lot of the grumbling, complaining dwarves. However, the strongest bond of friendship is between Balin and Bilbo out of all the members of the company. Dori, Nori, and Ori are together. Ori, who we'll talk about a little later, is the scribe, the person who's responsible for writing the great book, the Book of Mazarbul, that Gandalf reads in the Fellowship of the Ring when they find Balin's tomb.
Wait, the book, the history of
The Book of Majabul is just that book that is a reference to...
the one that he's holding, the skeleton is holding.
Yes, and we can also
I thought-
assume maybe that
I thought
skeleton is Ori.
That's Ori?
Mm-hmm. Whom Adam Brown plays. Yes.
Is the one that is the skeleton.
Hopefully. We don't know, but we
but
might assume so.
It's presented in Fellowship of the Ring as a Balin.
No, it's Balin's tomb. And his body is not shown because it's in the tomb.
Here lies Balin.
Yeah, his body is in the tomb. Excuse me.
But the scribe.
So Ori is the scribe. He's also in the one of the biggest differences with the book is that
Threya of Erebor has corrected me. Thank you for providing an academic correction. Dori, Nori, and Ori are not of Durin's line. They are not. Considering the house of Durin.
They're not. Okay, so who is
So
Nori?
I stand corrected. Thank you for the edification.
So who is Nori?
Nori, who was played by Jed Brophy, and everybody knows Jed Brophy because he was the guide who was with Peter Jackson on that exclusive preview, sneak peek that we saw of Desolation of Smaug.
Right.
That you got from your Blu-ray.
He was
special
also,
copy.
I believe, showed up at the One Ring premiere party
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
in New Zealand.
And he was the master of ceremonies and the
The
host
master
of
of
our
ceremonies.
New Zealand
Jed
fan
Brophy
premiere party. Jed Brophy's
is
very
a
cool.
wonderful person and friend of the One Ring, and we'd
Yeah,
love to have
he's a
him on the
great
show
guy.
one day.
And,
So what does his character look like? I'm drawing a blank right now.
He's called Starfish Head. All the fans are now calling Nori
Oh,
Starfish Head
G.
because he's got the funny triangles, and his eyebrows are actually interwoven and braided down into his facial
He's got the
hair.
triangles.
It's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Aren't they braided up into his hair?
Oh, yeah,
They're not braided down to his beard. His eyebrows are braided up into his starfish head. I love the style and the look of Nori and his unusual hairstyle, but he's gotten the most flack from purists, which is understandable. According to the press notes from Warner Brothers, this character, Nori, as played by Jed Brophy, is a little bit of a troublemaker who has gotten in some kind of grief with the dwarven authorities for being a pickpocket and a thief himself. None of that exists in Tolkien. There isn't any characterization of any of the dwarves stealing or pickpocketing from each other.
Interesting.
Ever. But the filmmakers included all that detail for the journalists to
It's
repeat.
interesting as the filmmakers are trying to translate a book to a movie. They've kind of set it up based on this as kind of like a nomadic peoples. Like the dwarves have lost their homeland and now they're nomadic peoples, and they show Thorin, picking up odds and ends jobs,
Yes.
pounding, stealing stuff, and Nori being a pickpocket. I mean, these are. What do they call those in Eastern Europe? Nomadic type of
Gypsies?
Gypsies.
No, that's
no,
an
no.
insult to the Romanis.
Romanis.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it sounds like that's how the filmmakers want to present the dwarves. How does Tolkien present these three characters, Nori, Ori, Dori? Or do we have any background?
Tolkien does not really explicate upon these three characters as much, except to say that some of them have instruments that they play, some of them have different colored hoods, and Dori is the one who gets special mention for being not such a bad fellow, despite his grumbling. And there are just episodes in the story where Bilbo has much more direct person-to-person, save me, please, Dori. Save me by the skin of my teeth. And Dori ends up dropping him in the goblin tunnels anyways. So we learn more details in the fictional world of the movies than we do about these dwarves individually in Tolkien.
So there is a lot
unusual, but
of
true.
latitude that Peter Jackson and folks have in crafting these characters.
And Weta, of course, and Richard Taylor's team are very, very much responsible for, bringing a whole different level of interpretation to these characters. I love the way Jed Brophy steals the sausages from Bilbo, and right there, right in front of everyone, when Bilbo's complaining to Gandalf, look at all these dwarves in my kitchen. What's going on here? That's when Bilbo says, confusticate and be bother these dwarves. One of my favorite lines from the book. But, you know, Tolkien never says that Nori is stealing sausages. And I appreciate the fans in the chat room who are with us now pointing out some of these fine details. I'm going to check. Aragalen, Tedaris, thank you, Tedaris. We have a new article by you to publish tomorrow evening. And it looks like Tedaris and Aragalen are going to check. You guys take a quick look on the Encyclopedia of Arda. Take a look on that website real fast, and we'll see if there's any confirmation. Oh, we've got a message from our special guest star, Adam Brown. Here he is. Fantastic. He is struggling through traffic.
So he'll get here with. So we have an opportunity to really dive in. Are there any scenes, because there isn't much backstory that Tolkien has provided about Ori Nori Dori?
You're welcome, Emmy. You're welcome.
Is there any scenes in The Hobbit that were originally provided to Ori Nori or Dori that were given to another character? As we found out last week, Fili and Kili were given several scenes that were actually handled by other characters. So I'm wondering, did the filmmakers change anything as far as who does what when it comes to these three guys?
The filmmakers didn't really change much. They had a lot of leeway to write anything they wanted because there's just blanks. They could fill in the blanks the way they wanted to. They made Dori the more maternal one, who's offering Gandalf chamomile tea and trying to make his younger brother eat lettuce, and that's not in Tolkien. So let's just color him as a more, a more mothering type. None of these dwarves have any of their mothers anywhere near them, evidently. So somebody's assuming a parenting role for his younger brothers.
How do we know
that's
that?
That's a nice touch.
How do we know Dori is not a female?
Well, actually, they're all described as male. Tolkien says says that they're all male.
How do we know that?
That Peter Jackson
is
representing them as well, because he represents dwarf women in the opening prologue. You can see how they look. They look like women. They're dressed like women.
Okay.
They have wispy beards, but they don't look so much masculine that they have full-on dwarf man beards.
Uh-huh.
The dwarf women that Peter Jackson shows in Dale, right before the dragon destroys Dale in those shots, they have wispy little beards. They don't look the same.
You know, this year, 2013, is the first year that we will have a Halloween post Hobbit. Do you think Nori has the opportunity of being one of a popular Halloween costume as opposed to any other character?
Yes. Well,
because he has the starfish.
The starfish hair is probably one of the most difficult things that you'd have to recreate if you're doing a wig. How would you recreate?
Right. Well, I can picture going to Party City and there's
there's going to be a Nori wig.
There's a Nori wig with the whacked out. Does he have the craziest hair?
He does. It's really, really crazy, and I kind of like it. I think it's really cool. Starfish Head is a funny nickname. One of the members of our chat is joking that Adam Brown should have come here today via bunny sled and come by Roscobel. He would have gotten here faster.
Not in L.A. Let's see if we can bring up.
Pictures of.
I searched for Nori, and a bunch of Japanese seaweed shows up.
Yeah, that's funny. You've got nothing but pictures of Japanese seaweed.
You got to see this, folks. A bunch of Japanese seaweed.
Google search Nori.
One picture of Nori. On the OneRing.net, coincidentally.
Coincidentally? Oh, well, that's great.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, Jed Brophy. His costume design is just crazy. I love it. I really do love it.
See, he is completely lost in that. I think he has the most braids out of any of the dwarves.
That's a lot of braids. But what about Bomber's mega braid?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, a mega braid is different than many braids. So that's Nori, and then let's see if we can bring up Dori. Let's just see if we can bring
Oh, if
them
you
all
type
up.
in the word Dori, Google will return a search of Dori Nori Ori as an auto result. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of press materials and images of them all together as brothers. There they are.
Here we go. I like that. So that
I need to go back over it, but what are there different dwarven fighting techniques? I mean, maybe in the Goblin Cave, we could see some. But
there are no techniques. That's one of the issues I have with The Hobbit. Is that does Tolkien describe different dwarven fighting techniques? Because in the films, there aren't any unique techniques. I mean, you know what? It wasn't until the Two Towers that we really started to see the different techniques. I mean, you know, Legolas doesn't mount a horse like a normal thing, and you know that Legolas doesn't take the stairs like a normal stair person, and Legolas
some really elegant
doesn't.
fighting, light,
Yeah,
fighting,
and he's just like,
nice and,
you know, like.
them on strings and really being fluid in there.
And you have Gimli saying, you know, we're dangerous over short distances, but wasted over
Open ground.
open ground. And so
Yes.
it was, but you know, we didn't really get a unique opportunity to see the different fighting styles until the second movie, until Two Towers. And so I feel like Goblin Town was a waste of a scene because there was no character development in
Through the fighting?
in Goblin Town.
I saw some very clever fighting bits. They grabbed a ladder and threw it down in front of them and hooked a bunch of goblins with a ladder, and then they...
But there wasn't
clever-
anything that
They were
each.
clever enough to cut certain ropes
Who's
to
they?
make a gang with the dwarves.
I know which one.
Let's see, who chopped the rope to make the gangway slide across?
Exactly.
I think
There-
it was Dwalin.
there-
It might have been Dwalin.
There wasn't any showpieces to show even just one or two of the dwarves. Give them an opportunity to like show a unique fighting style or a unique, you know, way of thinking of just like, oh, you know, this is how we're going to get out of that. Instead, it's just like, oh, a dwarf did this and a dwarf that, and then the dwarves did this. It's like the writers are treating them as one unit rather than individual characters. And you know, that was kind of disappointing. I wanted to see in Goblin Town, you know, Ori the kid do something that rescues all the other ones, and then you know, another dwarf doing something unique that rescues all the other ones. Like you know, you get what I'm saying? Like
Not really. I think
there were showpieces
you-
in the Two Towers.
You register kinds of disappointment in so many different funny ways. I don't know what you're going to say next sometimes. I mean, you really enjoyed the film, and yet you come out bitching on it so much sometimes. What could they do in a massive action set piece to stop and show these are the fighting styles of the dwarves were not standing in place defending a wall against a siege like they are in the Two Towers.
They were running
They're
over
running
a bunch
for
of the
their lives,
same,
trying to get out.
and they were running over the same types of bridges, and so different. You know, the only one that had any unique battle capabilities was
he's 4 minutes away, okay, and he says, according to his GPS, that the rabbit sled, the bunny sled, is 4 minutes away from bringing him here. When he arrives, I don't know if he's going to be at the front, but I'm going to tell him just
Park in the back.
you're going to be the easiest person to spot because
Right.
you've got that Hobbit shirt. Okay, very good. We have our valet. We have our valet.
Valet.
We have our valet, Mr. Matt Musgrove,
we-
going outside.
we take care of our special guests. So, you know, again, Ori Nori Dori. Nori is the old one. Dory is the starfish. And Ori looks like the youngest. He doesn't have a mustache.
Ori is identified in Peter Jackson's film as the youngest of the entire company of dwarves,
Which is different from the
which is
book,
different from the book.
where
Yes.
Feely, or Keely, depending on what page you turn.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I wonder if there was, in the book, is he described without a mustache? Or anything like
actually, no, the dwarves are not described in The Hobbit with any real descriptions of their beards. He's just describing the colors of their hoods and the kinds of food that they request from Bilbo's pantry
that. Right.
and things like that. Here's the funny thing. Dori and Nori and Ori bring out flutes from their coats, and they're flautists. They play
Dori
flutes.
and Nori?
Dori, Nori, and Ori play flutes.
They play all three of them.
Yes. Bombur produces a drum. Okay. Biffer and Bofer play clarinets.
Okay.
And Dwalin and Balin leave their instruments outside.
I feel like the dwarves should have played some music at Rivendell,
And
rather than complain about the food. An opportunity to play some music.
play some music for the elves instead of the
I think
elves
that-
playing music for them. That could be interesting.
I think that would have been
Yes.
more appropriate to reward the fans.
It's also interesting that the dwarves who are playing the viol, that's Dwalin and Balin, come back into the room carrying upright viols that are as big as themselves. And what does Thorin play? A golden harp that's wrapped in a protective cloth.
Of course.
Thorin is a harpist. Dori, Nori, and Ori are flautists. And we don't get to see that as much. We get to see one of them playing a teapot, one of them is playing a recorder flute in the shot where they do the chip the glasses. and crack the
Just like I
plates.
used to have in elementary school
Yes.
or
yes.
primary school. What? So there isn't much to go on on these dwarves' backstory. Again, they're
Not in the
just
book.
kind of filler. What? Is there any unique characteristics that Tolkien provides in the book that leads to a specific action or reward? Like, is there something set up early in the book that their character pays off in the end?
Ask the question one more time.
Is there something early in the book that that has to do with their character or their personality that leads them and leads their character into something,
A change in a defining moment for
a
the characters?
defining moment? Is there a defining moment for Ori, Nori, or Dori that is set up early in the book, or are they just
No.
more of the dwarves and
in the-
dwarves do stuff?
In the book, it's just that. More of these dwarves, and some of them have certain practical functions in the group,
So-
and some of them don't.
And
But-
let me ask you this: why do you think Tolkien created all these dwarves for this story? I mean, it almost seems like these characters are these three characters specifically, Ori, Nori, and Dori, are kind of filler. Like, why the need for additional characters? Why the need to create these three kinfolk?
Because Thorin would not have put together a quest to Erebor with only one or two traveling companions. The idea,
But
in the story,
13 is a bit much. I mean, the fellowship was 9.
Yeah, but 13 is a bit much. But it's also the fact that Thorin is disappointed that of his other followers, not many of his dwarven kin would agree to go with him back on this journey to Erebor. And as they say in the film, there are just 13 of us, and Balin says, not all of us are the best or the brightest, and some of the dwarves take offense to that immediately, and then they start arguing at the table about it in
Right.
the film. It's very interesting to me that so many of the musical instruments that Tolkien says that they're carrying around with them, Tolkien abandons the concept of them carrying those instruments, early in the story, and he never mentions it again. That
Right.
they've got all those
There's
instruments
no
with them.
payoff.
No, not with the instruments. That's true. But when Adam Brown gets here, we're going to have to ask him about what his musical abilities are and what kind of instruments he can play.
So if
Very interesting.
if there's very little description, background, or character development in the Hobbit book from Tolkien, I'm wondering, why the casting choices were made for Mark Hadlow, Jed Brophy, and Adam Brown. I mean, like part of this whole discussion is figuring out why Peter Jackson cast these particular folk for these characters. And it sounds like these three, Tolkien just used these three characters as kind of filler. Like, Thorin needs a big team, so let's give him a big team,
I don't think Peter Jackson could have afforded to change this formula. The formula is built around 13 in the traveling company because primarily they needed Bilbo to be added on to make it 14, to break the unlucky number. That's one reason why Tolkien wrote it that way.
Okay.
That might be the main reason, because Bilbo ends up taking upon himself, later in the story, the nickname of the lucky number. Because he's the 14th person. So, why did the Brothers Grimm have 7 dwarves in the Snow White story? Which is one of Esme's...
Happy, grumpy, sneepy, sleazy...
Really? No.
7
Seven is a lucky number? Well,
did I say sleazy?
There's also this relationship between, numbers and whether people think there's lucky or unlucky numbers. Maybe Tolkien was just trying to be a contrarian. Maybe Tolkien immediately wanted to have a reversal against the Snow White paradigm by saying, I'm going to have 13 instead of 7. Maybe he just wanted to go for that number, and then he decided to write around it from that point. I'm not sure, but I would guess.
And so you have these 3 brothers that are wildly different in age. I mean, you have, a gray hair, a middle-aged starfish, and then a young kid without a mustache. But that's never explored in the book, and I don't know if it's going to be explored in the movies.
You think?
I think there's an interesting dynamic when you have 3 brothers. I mean, look, they make movies called 4 Brothers. I mean, there's original stories to be had about, brothers going on an adventure and accomplishing something together, each of them bringing, experience and naivety into the mix. And I didn't see any naiveness in Ori in the Hobbit movie.
You didn't? Naivete?
Yeah.
I see nothing but naivete
Where?
in Adam Brown's performance.
Where?
I see
I see it in his face.
Perfect. When he walks up in the hallway, walks up to Bilbo and says, "Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but what should I do with my plate?" This is such a childlike, innocent
He's
young
never eaten...
dwarf. He doesn't even know how to, present himself in mixed company, not knowing the culture and the behaviors of the place he's in. And I think that there's a lot of naivete in young Ori's performance. The fact that he expects a slingshot is going to dismount a big orc in full armor off of one of his wargs, that's naivete, if nothing else.
Afraid.
Yeah. And the way he stands up and insists, "I'm not afraid."
Right up his Jackson, what is it?
Yeah, he's got some of the funniest bits, Mr. Adam Brown. Naiveness, yes, naivete. I'm very interested in asking
Any update?
Adam. No. There's no update yet. But keep your eyes peeled, Matt. He'll be here soon. Look at it this way.
Okay.
The fans are in the room telling us quite appropriately that Vince says the instruments are meant to develop character and provide some texture. They're not set up as a major plot point. And
that's what I feel is missing from the Hobbit films. There's no character development and texture to that,
He's got a lot of character to build with Bilbo. He's got most of the focus of the story on Bilbo's character changes. How much are those dwarves really going to change from the beginning to the end?
Well, that same can be argued about the Lord of the Rings. I mean,
Bilbo's going to change the most.
You want to see Frodo and Sam change the most, but even in the single movie Fellowship, you have a wonderful natural character arc. Like you see these, every single character grow in Fellowship, and then all through the trilogy. And I didn't see that here. I didn't see it. That there were opportunities, and it's like oh, what's this green stuff? I don't eat lettuce. Like it's kind of cheap joke when there's so much more to work with, don't you think? I mean, they could have played with the music instruments, and they could have done so much, but instead, who's the vegan around here?
No. Instead of focusing on musical instruments, the writers wanted to build Dori as a mothering, maternal type, and they wanted to have Nori be a pickpocket.
Which dwarf is the one that says I call that
a flash-fingered Finnegan, or Fagin rather, a Fagin from a Dickens, and then he wanted young Ori to be younger than Keely and Feely, and to be the scribe. In the preview poster that came out at Comic-Con,
right,
you actually see Ori holding a book and a quill pen.
Yeah.
And this
do you see that in the book? Or in the movie? Do you see that in the movie?
No, in The Lord of the Rings, we find out that Ori was the scribe who was writing down the account of the dwarves' attempt to retake Moria.
Who hands Bilbo the contract?
Hold on. Cliff, please either say happy vote Bilbosary or Grand. Okay, there you go. I'll say it again. Happy vote Bilbosary.
Oh, that's in reference to it's been a month since the MTV contest.
Oh, okay, so it's a 1 month anniversary. So, it's the Happy Vote Bilbosary.
So again, if Ori is the skeleton holding the thing in Fellowship, and Ori is positioned on the teaser posters as having a quill and a pen of paper, then where is Ori taking notes? Where's the scene? Where's the shot? Where is is Ori the one with the contract that hands it to Bilbo? No. Do you think that would be the scribes? The scribes should be keeping the parchment. I think so, but no, we don't see that.
No,
where do you see any of that?
Balin is the one who's administrating the affairs, and Balin is the one who inspects the signature with his little glass to see that everything's in order.
Yeah, but who hands him the contract?
Balin. It's all Balin's involvement with the contract.
Well, I'm saying I feel like they're in the movie. There was a lost opportunity. There's a setup and opportunities for character development, and it wasn't there.
All of our friends
on screen.
Our friends have noticed something that we have not.
Okay.
Maybe we did miss this, but everyone says that you see Ori writing in his book in the background during the movie. I didn't see that. Wow, you guys are very sharp-eyed. What do your elf eyes see? You guys are on the ball.
Based on...
I didn't see the shot where Ori is in the background writing down in his book.
Dwalin is the sharp-eyed...
No.
Balin.
Balin was the lookout, according to Tolkien.
Balin was the lookout.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is very interesting. But if we wait until movie 2 and movie 3, we may get some of these other characterizations and these bits that you are so thirsty for.
Okay.
I think we have yet to see some more good stuff coming. And they don't want to front load everything in the first film. They want to leave them wanting more. Number one rule in show business, besides never work with kids and animals, the other number one rule in show business is always leave them wanting more. And you are obviously wanting more, Mr. Justin.
The interesting... I'm just thinking about this now. Did we lose any main protagonists? Did any main protagonists die in The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey?
Any main protagonists?
No.
Nobody in The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey dies from the heroes or the protagonist's side.
Nobody dies. Azog doesn't even.
No, he doesn't. Great Goblin dies.
Oh yeah, Great Goblin
some
dies.
other goblins
but
die.
He was a throwaway. Azog
no
doesn't
one else
die.
dies.
And in Fellowship...
Oh, wait. Actually, in the opening prologue, you see a lot of people killed.
Well,
and then in the Battle of Azanulbazar, you'll see the king, Thorin's father, being killed and beheaded.
In flashback. But
in flashback,
I'm saying,
Thorin's father's beheaded.
I just realized in Fellowship of the Ring, 2 of the main characters die.
Oh!
Gandalf and Sean Bean.
Yes, in the first film, there were 2 big
That's
deaths.
what made that movie powerful. Is that and I think that's one of the things that was missing from The Hobbit, the first film, was that nobody had a complete journey. Nobody had a complete journey.
It's just
character journey.
It's all set up.
Character journey. But again, Fellowship of the Ring was set up, but you still had a couple characters that had a complete character journey.
Well,
So
this is because the Lord of the Rings was an exercise in contraction and bringing a big book down into the scale of a big movie. The Hobbit is an exercise in expansion, and you'd think
that's what I think. There were so many opportunities for expansion,
I get it,
and we didn't get because Tolkien didn't write a lot about Nori, Dori, or Ori.
Well,
there isn't much background to go on, and then when we think he's part of Durin's folk, he's not, or they're not. So they're not really related to anybody else in the story.
They are, according to our friends who just looked this up for us.
Where? Let's go back to the chat room
again.
again.
Back to the chat. Thank you for this very useful information.
TheOneRing.net/live.
Right.
We're paying attention.
TheOneRing.net/live. So, it says here that. Oh, hello. I hope it hasn't scrolled away off the top of it, but Tedarus and one of our other very smart fans. A couple of you guys are really very good looking at the details, including you, Pete Northrunner. Good to see you. And hello, Jenny. Hi, everybody. You have said that there was a mention of the dwarves being part of Durin's line, but not exactly a specific mention of how they're directly related to Thorin. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff that the filmmakers, put in, which is, side characterizations. But most of the narrative thrust is about Bilbo, his agitation, his concerns, what Bilbo's worried about.
And I still got that. I still got that in
Gandalf pulling the motivations out of all these other people to make something magic happen
that wasn't there.
That wasn't there because the dwarves didn't trust Bilbo to come along with them at all until certain somebody made it happen.
Hello. Welcome.
Oh, I love
Have a
that
seat
voice.
right
I hear and recognize that voice. Hello, sir.
Hello.
It's good to see you again.
Sorry I'm late.
No, you're not late at all. A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Am I going here?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. You are indeed.
Go right
You
there.
are indeed.
Bottle of water right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now welcome to our show Adam Brown. We were just talking about your two brothers.
Ah.
Mr. Adam Brown, welcome.
Hello.
How's Los Angeles treating you?
Oh, I hate driving here. I would rather fight 4 battles of 5 armies than drive here.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to drive on
Oh
the,
my
on
gosh,
the
it's-
wrong side of the road.
I've had a lot of horns beeped at me today.
You did not. Really?
I'm just going, ah. But it's going all right.
Justin, thank you very much for... are you checking everything over there?
Yeah.
Here's what we have. We have
What is this?
a chat room. This is our live chat, and we have hundreds and thousands of people watching, and this is where they can come in live and ask us questions. They can interact with us. They can feed us feedback, questions, or concerns, and we can interact with each other. We
Okay.
can interact with them. Yay! Everyone said Adam is here.
Yay!
Yay! Look.
I am here. Alive.
Don't
Hooray.
you guys have only 20 minutes left of the show? Well, don't worry. We have as much of the show left as we wish to have. We can do it. Oh, look. Everyone says welcome. Ads. Oh, yes.
Ads.
Guys, first thing that we want to say is follow this man on Twitter at Brown Ads. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. I don't know why I picked that name, but yeah.
Because it's funny?
Yeah, it's sticking now.
Because it's funny and funny sticks. Brown Ads. And there's a petition going around to get Twitter to verify all the actors who are the dwarves.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because there's not a little blue check mark next to your name.
That's like, almost impossible to get that little
It
tick
is
mark.
now. They
It is?
changed their procedures, and
Really?
they're not letting. Sean Astin fought with the Twitter people for months,
Did he?
so he could get officially verified as the real Sean Astin.
He must have thousands of followers as well.
It helps differentiate you from the posers who are trying to pretend to be you on Twitter. But the last time I saw this fine feathered friend of mine was for a very brief chat in the lunchroom. that you guys were having in the tent, the food tent.
In Welly.
In Welly,
Yeah.
in Welly, and I was there visiting, and I got to meet Mark Hadlow, and I met you at the same time.
Yeah.
The Dean was right next to you, and a very, very tall John Callan comes looming over. He's such a fabulously tall fellow, and everybody came over because they're like, "Oh, you're from the OneRing.net. What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
You know, and I was only there visiting for a day. Remember that?
Yeah,
You
I do.
did?
I
Oh,
do. Yeah.
Really, you were half in and half out of makeup.
Did I have the wig on?
Partly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Or maybe just a few braids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Adam Brown is here with us. No, Brown Ads with an ADS. BROWNADS. Brown Ads on Twitter. Okay?
Already
That's
following.
it. Yes,
I'm really
you
happy.
got it.
Oh, this is amazing.
Okay. Okay. One of our friends, Galaril, shakes your hand and gives you a bag of chips. Okay. Not the British chips, but the American ones, I guess.
Okay.
Everyone's going to be...
That line, it's that line, isn't it?
People are loving your jokes. The way that you try to be super, super polite. Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt, but what shall I do with my plate? And your extreme aversion to green food.
Oh, I hate green food. Yeah. Yeah.
No wheatgrass juice for you today.
No, God no.
So, where shall we begin? I want to ask you a couple of things. Since we're talking about your characters, we're doing a whole series about all the dwarves.
Okay.
We're talking about Tolkien's descriptions of the characters
Okay.
in the books. We're talking about the differences between the books and the movies. We know from Professor Tolkien
You're going to quiz me now, aren't you?
that you are the scribe.
Yes, I am.
You are the writer.
Yes.
And
I know that.
I love writers. I myself am a writer, so I feel a kindred spirit already with you, sir. You are depicted in the promotional poster holding the quill and a book.
Yes.
And I wonder, does your little action figure come with a book? I don't know. I hope it does.
I don't know. I haven't seen my action figure. I've seen my Lego character.
Do we have one downstairs? Do we have one of the action figures downstairs?
I don't think they have an Ori yet.
You should go... Okay.
I don't think they have an Ori.
They haven't made an Ori yet?
I don't think so. I think it's just the hot ones they've made.
Oh, gosh.
Billy and Killy.
Adam, you're gonna give those boys a run for your money. You're looking mighty fine
Oh,
today.
thanks.
You're looking quite fine today. I tell you what.
But I can't compete with Dean O'Gorman and Aidan Turner. Come on.
On a good day? Why not? Why the hell not? I also want to talk about your short film, Minimus. We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
I love the artwork for that. It's funny. It's a
Yeah.
very funny poster. And some other projects that you're doing. But within the narrative, we know nothing, really, from what Tolkien says in the books. We know that Ori Nori and Ori play flutes in
Yeah.
the book. And they have different colored hoods. He doesn't fill in many, many details about these characters.
No, it's a mystery.
And within the film, you guys are trying to extrapolate these characters in a whole new way and give them more details, more background. How did you come about to that? How did you approach giving Ori some more personal background and details?
Well, Fran and Philippa and Pete kind of gave it to us, really,
Yeah.
because the story was the characters, I guess, were influenced by us as individuals and my audition tape. I think I was incredibly nervous on my audition tape, and they loved that quality for Ori. So
Sure.
a lot of that was in the script, I guess. So we were, that was the easy bit. But then me, Mark, and Jed got together, and also with Fran and Phil, and worked out like a history, a backstory for us. So it was,
Oh, good.
you know, not that it probably would come out in the films because there's so much material there to.
Yes.
But we have our own little backstory, and that is, we are dwarves, and obviously, and Jed's character Nori is a bit of a thief, and
a bit of a pickpocket, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yes.
doesn't stay at home much. So I don't know him very well. I don't know him as much because Dory was the one who stayed and looked after me.
Yes, he's
But-
the maternal one.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I'm not interested in that. I want to be like my older, trendy hairdo brother,
The starfish head.
and I want to go and be just like him. And,
Yes. So you stand up and give that brave speech about sticking something up as jacksy,
yes.
which is a term a lot of American slang doesn't include that word. What is a jack? Oh,
I guess I shouldn't ask. I think I know what it is.
Yeah, Jackson. Google
It's a
Jackson.
bum, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a bum. Okay.
Yeah. Do you not have that here?
We don't have
You don't
that.
say Jackson?
No.
Right.
Never heard that word in my life until I saw this film.
Oh my god.
And I'm an Anglophile, and I'll love British movies and shows and books. Religiously watch Downton Abbey. I can quote every line from Benny Hill show from way back in time.
Right.
But Jaxie, never heard that. Never heard that.
No.
No. No, I mean, if you want to light up a fag in London, you're lighting up a cigarette. You say that word in America, it's completely different. Completely
You're
different.
lighting up something completely different.
Yeah, I know, but you really, I mean, chips, potato chips or crisps,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, but I never heard that before.
Yeah.
We were also assuming that in the Fellowship of the Ring, when they go into Balin's tomb, and they pick that book out of that dwarven skeleton's hand.
That's me.
Is that you?
That is me.
That's really you?
That's me.
Did the filmmakers tell you? That's definitely you?
That's you. Yeah.
That's his corpse, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to say that skeleton
He's Ori.
is really Ori. Oh my gosh, that's kind of sad. That's really super sad
Really?
now.
You don't know
I
that?
thought it was Balin.
I
No.
told you Balin's body is under the stone. He's in the tomb.
He's in the tomb, and that's hence why I'm the scribe of the. It's Ori's words, isn't it? That
Yes.
that they read out.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
So during the filming of the 3 movies, when there's scenes where some of the guys were making fires or cooking, or and we were pretty much creating the atmosphere for maybe Thorin and Gandalf's speech or something like that.
Right.
There would always be times where I go, oh, this would be a good time for Ori to sit and do a
Right.
bit of writing or doing a bit of sketching or like document the journal.
Yes.
Really. Document the story.
That means that there's story potential, and I know you can't talk about film 2 and film 3 at all.
Nope.
Nope. He's like,
Never.
never. You've signed more non-disclosure agreements than never mind. There's a joke in there somewhere, but let's just
We'll
say
find it at one point.
the fact that you are the journalist, in that sense, you are recording all their adventures in this book. I think that there's possibilities in the second and third film where they might explore some more of that. The fact that what you're doing is important. You're making a chronicle of this journey.
Yeah.
Everybody else knows that it's Bilbo's chronicle. That's why we front end the story of Bilbo writing in his journal. It's the red book that will eventually be inherited by Frodo.
Yeah.
In the Lord of the Rings. But you are the one. You're the one who's chronicling this, not Bilbo. That's different. I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, very. So our friends were in there saying that they saw you in Bag End actually writing in the book.
Yep.
And I never saw that. And I've seen it. I've seen an unexpected journey over and over and over again. I've never seen.
know, it's
You're sitting there writing, and I didn't
it's
see it.
by the speech with Bilbo that's in the trailer saying, "Will I come back? I'm not sure you will come back."
Mhm.
And then I'm at the back, and Oin comes up to me, and goes, "What you doing, laddie?" And
Yeah.
they're drawing away and
Really?
sketching away. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Which is quite hard with
Extended
Rob.
edition scene?
Yeah.
So it could be in the extended edition. It wasn't in the theatrical.
Yeah, it was.
It's in a theatrical shot. When Gandalf is about to start that dialogue with Bilbo about his great-great-great-great-grandfather, Bullroarer, you're in the shot in the background, writing. And I never noticed it before. I feel like I missed something.
That was one of my first days on set, I think. Pretty much.
Someone is asking, which is the dwarf on the well? Meaning the dwarf that's sitting on the edge of the well, which is a ridiculous place for a dead body to sit. And Billy Boyd touches it, and the body and the thing falls into the well and makes all that noise.
I don't know.
He has no idea.
don't
Nobody
know.
knows.
Maybe Nori.
Red shirt number 25. Star Trek red shirt joke.
Okay.
Okay, Adam, say the word grand. There's a reason why. The girls online are doing a little fan thing about grand.
Grand.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Grand. That's the giant battering ram that you see knock down the gates of Minas Tirith in The Return of the King.
Ah, that's
That-
what it's called.
Yeah, it's called Grand.
Oh.
It has a name. And evidently they're doing... Oh, look, they're all happy now. Yay!
Yay. Grand.
Adam, did you have to learn how to use that slingshot? Good question, Murtaugh.
I did.
Tell us about your weapons training.
Yeah, mine was we trained with Tim Wong, who was a fantastic guy, and when all the other guys were doing routines with, we had a set routine, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and whatever kind of weapon you had, whether it was I don't know, a baton, you do those same movements with it, but just in different ways.
Yeah.
But we really struggled with with a slingshot. It was
Really?
we couldn't do it. So yeah, my training went kind of over a couple of stages. So you know, I hope that Ori gets a bit of his warrior fighting stance in the next 2 movies.
I'm excited to see that. I'm
But,
very excited to see that.
In an Ori way, you know, he won't be brilliant at it. But yeah, just yeah, it was good training though. Yeah, although yeah, it's quite hard to pulling that thing back. You know, the rubber.
It is.
Yeah.
When I was a very young boy, my brother had a slingshot, and it had an under brace that went under your hand, and it braced over your wrist and went back under, so that you could get that tension. And
Without doing the
without
hop.
doing that. Yeah, it's exact. You had that problem too, like,
Yeah.
right?
Especially with the rubber hands on as well, you know.
Did you have prosthetic hands?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So there was more than just the prosthetics up here.
Yeah, all of us had prosthetic hands on, which were the worst actually.
Really?
Yeah.
This is a revelation. Most of the Lord of the Rings, there was chatter about the Hobbit feet, the prosthetics feet. We've got dwarven prosthetic hands.
We had hands, yeah.
Wow.
And Graham McTavish's arms, he had the full ones up here.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean ours were just like this. But
Yes.
when he took his off at the end of the day,
Yes.
because they put talcum powder in them,
Yeah.
so you can like slip into them.
Yes.
When he took his off, it would just run like water would be coming out of it, like
This
this
was sweating.
this white kind of gooey,
Oh,
like
my.
almost like a mod rock or something like that, you know,
Wow.
a sticky thing.
Why would a big strapping lad like Graham McTavish need to have any extra muscles or
I know,
prosthetics?
I know. He's not beefy enough, apparently.
He's beefier than beef. He's huge. He shows pictures of himself in his workout, you know.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's very fitness training oriented, as we
Yeah.
all know.
I had dinner with him on Sunday. Yeah.
Really? Here in Los Angeles?
Yeah, he picked me up from the airport. It was-
Oh, I didn't know he's here in town.
He's not. He went back to London. Had to see some friends in London, but he's.
Damn it, Janet, we should have filmed something with him while he was here.
Yeah, I know. I told him that I was going to come and try and get here in time to do this. And he was like, "Why don't they ask me?" So there you go.
I would have if I had known. I'll tweet to him.
Yeah.
Mr. Graham McTavish and this fellow here, Adam Brown, they're really, really good on Twitter. You guys follow them and enjoy it, because the conversation keeps going, and it's a way for you guys to virtually be in touch with your favorite actors from the films. Brown ads on Twitter.
So it sounds like you're becoming friends because of the movie. Like a lot of the actors on the Hobbit became friends because of that, or were you friends before with each other?
No, I'd never met anyone before. Yeah, it's definitely
Really?
friends from doing the film. Yeah, definitely.
With such a big cast, you had worked with him. Was there a lot of that? Like nobody had worked with each other really?
No, yeah. Some of them had. I think Jimmy had worked with Graham before, and I think Ian had worked with Jimmy before. I think, but yeah. But no, we were
All fresh.
all fresh.
All
and new.
fresh and new.
And,
Well,
and were you asked to be the character? Was it like a typical audition, casting call and everything like that? Like what was that process like?
Well, my background is in theatre. I had my own theatre company, and I write my own things with my comedy partner. So I was kind of doing 10 years, and then my agent at the time rang me and said, "I've got an audition for The Hobbit for you." And I went, "Oh God, no! Look, what venues is it going to? How long's the tour for?" And they're like, "No, no, no."
really?
Yeah. And they said, "No, it's not. It is not a theatre show. It's The Hobbit." Peter Jackson. And I went, "Oh, okay. Oh, I'll go then." And I read for the part of Bilbo, which is funny in itself because I don't think I'm a Bilbo at all. But the casting director was there, and he said, "Oh, that's really good." And Pete and Fran and Phil, they're really good. They watch these pretty quickly, and in New Zealand, and they get back to you if they like you. And it was a couple of days, and the casting director phoned my agent and said, "Look, I never do this, but they really like Adam. They really like him. He's not Bilbo." I was like, surprise, surprise. But we've got a part of a dwarf for him in mind, and I will put my hands up and say, I didn't really know what that meant. I was there going, I'd read The Hobbit, but I really, really remember the riddle scene, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, a dwarf, okay, great. And I was expecting like third villager from the left. You know, I didn't realise it was such a pivotal role
Wow.
in the film. And then I didn't hear anything for about 9 weeks. Yeah, and then
And you thought it was all gone.
I thought it was just a nice audition, and I had fun there. And then
Mhm.
they said, "Hello, Adam. Are you sitting comfortably? 10 weeks' time, you'll be flying to New Zealand for 18 months." And I was going, whoa, hang on a minute. I need to. Surely
Wow.
I'm going to meet Pete and Fran, and they were like, they're going to have a phone call with you in London, but so I met the whole team in New Zealand, and I was going, oh my gosh, maybe I am the wrong Adam Brown, and I'm going to get there, and they're going to go, no, we didn't want that one. But hey,
He's out front
how are
looking
you?
for you.
I was the one driving like a maniac.
Very nice
Hi,
to meet
nice
you.
to meet you.
Oh, that's so funny. Thank you, Matt, very much for looking out for him. I was wondering, you're based out of London, right?
Yeah.
And they said, pack up your whole life. You're going down to New Zealand for 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
absurd.
Yeah. How do you pack for 18 months? So it's not like 2 weeks, is it?
I couldn't leave my cat behind for 18 months. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Much less my theater company.
Yeah.
My gosh, you're trying to run the show. You're trying to run
Yeah,
business and get
yeah.
things done.
Yeah. It
Wow.
was a big turning point. But no, God, I can't imagine The Hobbit not being in my life now. You know.
No, of course not.
So
Of course
weird.
not.
Have you felt the glow of public acknowledgement since the movie's been out? Can you notice, like, people noticing you a little bit more?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, fans, real fans, but you know, I'm quite heavily disguised in makeup. But yeah, no, my friends are like, really excited about it. But
Well, out of all the doors, you have probably the
one of the least, actually. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, Aidan and Dean get away with blue murder. But yeah, I think I'm the next one with the least.
Was that originally planned, or did they just like through the process like a great face? Well, let's not cover that up.
Yeah, I think they did that with a lot of the dwarves. After the first initial makeup test, they were a lot of the designs for them originally were like, it's really good, but we need like 50% less of it because we need to see the actor. You need to see. Yeah, it was. I mean, I went through a series of about 3-4 noses.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, the attention to detail is incredible. Like Fran is a master at that, and she would literally go, I think 5 millimeters off the nose. No, and she had it
Really?
right. She was always right. It was, you know.
Wow. Well, she's been around Peter and making zombie movies with him for years and years and years, and
Yeah.
she knows a thing or two about
She
yeah
does,
prosthetics. There's quite a few greetings. Some of our friends are saying greetings from Portugal.
Oh.
Hello, we have a fan from Portugal. We also have fans from other countries around the world. And one very, very good question that somebody had said, and I think, Vince, it was your question, saying, did Peter ever sit down and explain to you, I can't see exactly where that question is, but I remember it. Vince, thank you for throwing that question is, did Peter or the writers, Fran or Philippa, explain to you their decision to make you the youngest dwarf? When in Tolkien,
Oh yeah.
it's Fili who is the youngest.
Yeah.
Or Keely, depending upon whether you read the appendix at the end of The Return of the King or not. So, did they say anything about, we're making you youngest? Great Goblin says, we're going to start torturing these guys, start with the youngest, and we cut to
And
you.
then it does cut to me. Yes.
Yeah,
It
so-
does. I think. No, we didn't really have a conversation about. Did we have a conversation about that? God, it's so long ago.
Really?
Yeah,
that's what everyone wants to know.
I think.
This is our first chance to talk
I
to you.
think. I think we did. I think they were really conscious of that it was kind of very, very blokey, and the dwarfs were really blokey, and they couldn't have Feely and Keely be naive and young, and I think they needed that quality. I know Pete.
Oh, okay.
Pete is a huge fan of Dad's Army, the British sitcom, and there's a character in there that's very, very similar to Ori, called Pike, and he gets things wrong and is the naive young one, and I think they wanted that quality, so I think that's why they decided. Otherwise, it would just, they needed someone to look after one of the dwarfs to be quite naive and young, and I think that's the reason they opted for. Yeah.
During the production process, did they tell you to kind of make better friends with your brothers Dori and Nori, and like keep the actors kind of eat at the lunch table together and stuff like that? So there's a little bit more going on.
Since the audience cannot hear you off of the microphone, we're just going to repeat that question. Justin, our producer, is asking if Peter and Fran asked Adam to do a click of hanging around his brothers in arms with Dori.
I had no choice. Mark Hadlow followed me around constantly.
Really?
Yeah.
He's so funny though. He's so funny.
No, he's like my mother. He is like my mother.
Really?
Yes. No, it was fantastic because when we were kind of pairing up and doing a lot of the training, we kind of naturally bonded together. I remember the first barbecue I went to. I was so excited to be in New Zealand, and it was the first time I'd meet the cast, and I was all very, oh my gosh, there's Ian McKellen, there's everyone there, and I saw Mark in the corner of the room, and he just went, brother, and came over and gave me the biggest hug, and we're like, yay!
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love Mark Hadlow, and I think by serendipity, by some strange chance, I was getting on the bus to come across to Miramar and see you guys, and when I'm standing at the bus stop about to board, I look on the ground and there's a school pin for Hadlow School, which is a local school in Wellington.
Oh, really?
And it had a little coat of arms on it and a little acorn. Just so funny. And I said, oh, I'm about to go meet Mark Hadlow in about 30 minutes. I might as well pick this up. And I offered it to him as a gift when I saw him in the lunch tent that day. Yes, and he's like, oh, and he was so enamored with that little school pin. That bears his namesake.
Yeah.
Too bad I couldn't have found a Brown.
No.
A Brown. But we have a university here in Rhode Island called Brown University. It's an Ivy League school.
Oh.
It's an Ivy League school, yes. Yes. Adam, how did you get into the mindset of a dwarf? Method acting? Learn how to mine, as in mining and digging for gold? Did you go live inside a mountain? How do you prepare for something so dwarven?
Well, we did 2 months boot camp, dwarf boot camp, when we arrived in New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah.
Clever.
So
A dwarf boot camp.
I want to see that.
What's that like?
incredible. We did dwarf movement in the mornings. We went to the gym. We did fight training. We did dialect, learned dwarvish together. We did singing lessons together. So all of this kind of, I think it's a really clever way of doing it. It was a great way of bonding as a company. When we arrived, it was like rehearsing, but really intense, or training for an army training or something. So we kind of became,
Really?
yeah.
That's fantastic. Another question, what is your favorite scene from the movie? Thank you, CD Vader. Keep those good questions coming, guys.
I love, my favorite scene is the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just because it was one of the most funnest days on set when Mark and I were hanging from a tree on a green screen.
In the book, it's Bilbo, not you, who's hanging from Dory's legs, trying to survive.
Right.
Yes, it's actually you got to play Bilbo's part anyways.
Bilbo who?
Yeah. Well, the whole scene with the eagles, and the presumed, body of Thorin being picked up in slow motion, it's almost elegiac. There's just, here comes Howard Shore, here comes the music, and all these shots of these eagles so elegantly coming in this chaos of fire.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. It's really lovely.
Yeah, I love the
It's
ending.
really
I think the ending's fantastic.
Yeah.
we had such a fun time filming that, me and Mark.
Yeah.
It was just us on second unit filming that, which was
Andy?
and we with Andy, and
Uh-huh.
we were rigged to wires, and we were just it was like being Peter Pan again. You know, we were flying. It was in dwarven costumes going da-da.
That's
And then
wonderful.
they would lift Mark up, and then they'd lift me up, and I'd be talking, and I'd go through Mark's legs, and oh no, he's there. Well, what's happening?
So, we have had a lot of speculation in recent shows because we've been talking about the line of Durin and how all these dwarves are related. Some of them are not directly related. Keely and Feely, we know, are Thorin's direct nephews.
Mhm.
They're the sons of his sister. And that means that I think Feely, the Dean O'Gorman character, is next in line to the throne.
Yep.
Actually, if you're following Game of Thrones type, genealogy, which we sometimes do. And we know at the end of The Hobbit, after the whole story is done, Balin and you and some other dwarves are going to go and try to reclaim Moria.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, and I know you can't say yes or no, maybe you can blink once or blink
I'm
twice. or
not
something.
doing anything.
We're just wondering. We're just wondering if there's going to be any scenes in the third film of you guys going off onto that next leg of your journey, and you just can't. He's not going to say anything, but isn't it-
Maybe, maybe not.
maybe not.
A safer question.
A safer question. We don't play safe
When
questions
did you
here.
find out that it was going to be 3 movies?
Okay, very good. When did you know that the split would go from 2 films to 3?
Pretty late on, actually. Yeah, pretty late on. So we only had about 2 more months in New Zealand,
Mhm.
and we all had a phone call. I was watching telly, watching my DVDs, and
I love the way a
And then-
Londoner says that. I was watching telly. I love
I
that.
was,
I
yeah.
love it. I love it.
and yeah, Philippa rang me to say, "Now listen, it's going to be 3." I was like, "What? No, what? Really? Are you joking?" She was like, "No, no, no." I was like, and then when I thought about it, I was like, "Well, because we were on set every day going, there's a lot. How the hell? This is going to be a long film." It was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to, and where they wanted to cut it, we had so much to put in.
Uh-huh.
And so after the shock, I was like, well, of course, it totally makes sense. In The Hobbit, one page of dialogue, one page of the book is, and then there was a battle, and
Mhm.
suddenly, and I
Mhm.
think it would have been too much like Wacky Races or something like that. Jumping from things to
Yes.
nothing that never settled enough.
Right.
So yeah,
I
I
get
think
that.
it's fantastic.
It's also true that the Stone Giants are mentioned in the book by Tolkien, 2 sentences at the most, and Peter managed to turn it into a beautiful, stunning 6.5 minute
Yeah.
set piece.
Yeah.
So that's the
that's
type
one
of.
of my favourites as well. Actually.
Oh,
I
yes.
forgot about that.
Oh, it's nuts, isn't
That
it?
filming that was, oh my gosh, yeah.
Whoa, really?
With the costumes on, because I mean, I can't really talk because Ori just has a little tiny belly. He doesn't really have much. But some of the other guys have got so much. Their fat suits were so big, and their clothes and their beards.
And the rain machines
And then
are
the
going.
rain hits it, and everything like triples in weight value.
Oh
So
no!
it was so heavy on them, yeah.
That's very difficult, I can imagine. Somebody had asked, did you get to keep anything that was your characters? Did you get to keep a prop as a memento?
I was given my slingshot.
Oh, good!
Yep.
The one that you have in your Twitter picture.
Yes,
I love that.
That is my slingshot.
Oh, great!
And also the little tiny knife, which all the other guys say it's a bread knife, but it's not. It's a knife. It's Ori's knife. So yeah, a very small one.
Cool.
It's not a bread knife.
More of a letter opener,
Yes.
really. So, let's see. Will there be more action scenes of Ori with his slingshot in the next movies from Dizino? And you are predicting much more action.
Oh yeah.
I can imagine if Bilbo, in the book, is very good at throwing rocks to kill spiders, I can imagine how you deal with spiders with a slingshot.
Oh, yeah.
I can just imagine you taking a few down.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
They're coming down.
Do you know if the spiders talk? There's any dialogue that we know of? Because they're full of dialogue in the book.
I'm not saying.
He's not saying no!
You tried to catch me out there.
I didn't
You did. You tried sneakily tried to. I'm not saying a
I'm
word.
sorry, I'm a little smeagol. I'm a little sneaky today. Just a little oh.
Were you expecting reshoots because of now it's 3 movies? Were you expecting that, hey, you're going to have to come back to New Zealand?
Good question. You're at the very end of principal photography, 2 months left to go, and the lovely, lovely Philippa Boyens
Yes.
calls you and says it's time for more. Which you weren't anticipating staying that much longer, were you?
No.
And
No.
reshoots are coming up very soon.
Yeah, I fly on Friday.
Really?
That's where I'm going.
Wow.
That's why I'm stopping over.
I'm excited to get back to Middle Earth.
Yeah, I am really excited. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Although I've had, because we finished out there in the winter. I came back to England, and we've had the worst winter ever. I'm here for 5 days. I'm doing this with the sun coming. Please, please, please. And now I'm going back to another
Winter.
winter in Wellington.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I go on Friday.
Wow. The time changes must mess with your clock,
Yeah.
your internal clock.
Yeah. It takes a few days.
Oh my
But,
gosh, I can imagine. Here we go. Adam, why do Ori, Dori, and Nori seem to have different accents?
Ah.
That's a question for Leith McPherson, the dialect coach, if
Oh,
anyone.
lovely Leith.
And I love her. She's
Yes.
lovely. She's very sweet.
That was decided because we have decided that although we have the same mother, we have different fathers. That's why we all look very different. That was another backstory
Oh,
to
okay.
Ori, Nori, and Dori, and because Jed is a bit of a traveller, he's adopted a bit of a Cockney accent. I think I'm a little bit posher than Mark, so I'm not northern at all. I'm just kind of read a lot, and I'm more intelligent than Mark.
Yes.
Not actually the actor, but maybe the character.
But you have some great one-liners. There's a few one-liners, a few jokes that people pick up in the film. Sylvester McCoy gets a couple of good bits. But some of the funniest bits just fall to you. It just happens. It just happens. And I recognize the way that fans repeat things online, and they become memes. They become memes on the internet that get repeated and repeated and repeated. And they have a thing about Dwalin reaching into the cookie jar, Dwalin's cookies, and they have a
Yes.
thing about you and chips.
Yes.
And since Matthew is ready, can you before you hand it into the frame, could you please humor us? I know it's too much.
Oh my gosh. Do you want me to eat them? Or?
No, I just wanted you to ask for them like you do in the movie. Just try it. Just try a bite.
Oh my gosh. They're chips.
Those are crisps, yes.
They're
those are
crisps,
chips.
actually. So I say crisps. I say crisps.
You say chips. Do they have any chips?
I don't like green food. Have they got any chips?
Yay!
And here you are, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Ooh, sea salt and vinegar kettle chips.
And they're half open.
And they're half done. Yeah. That's so funny. Oh yeah, now they're asking you to say the plate line.
Oh no, no more.
We've had enough. No. You know what? We can't torture the poor man with, reciting dialogue. You'll be forced to do that enough in the future, so you don't need to do it now.
That everyone's obsessed with Beaufort because he steals the ham out of the house. And so there's this bit Beaufort loves ham. And there's this huge thing. Was there any improvisational stuff happening on set during the dinner scene where the actors kind of went with their characters?
That's a good question. At what point did you get to improvise things that ended up becoming part of the script?
No,
and part of the performance?
actually, during Bag End and the eating scene, lots actually.
Yeah.
Just picking out food and I think the Graham tipping beer down Owen's trumpet.
Yes.
That was all kind of
Yeah.
I believe that was all kind of
Made up?
yeah.
Well, they
and
played it
just-
very well. It's
just
very funny.
kind
And
of-
John just takes it out and goes and blows the beer out of
Yeah.
the ear horn.
yeah, yeah.
We get a really tight close-up of one of the goblins squishing the ear horn with his feet during the scene where you encounter the great goblin.
Mhm.
And so poor Owen has to spend the rest of the movie without his ear horn.
He struggles, yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're gonna have to look for that in the next couple of films. But I want to talk about some of your other interesting projects that you have.
Okay.
Tell us about the short film you did. It's called Minimus.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us about that.
It's a lovely little project I did. I actually filmed it maybe 2 days after the premiere in London.
Really?
So I was very, very tired. But it was, yeah, it's great. It's basically a take on Gladiator, Russell Crowe's Gladiator, but with me. So I think the tagline is "He doesn't stand a chance."
Instead of Maximus, the poster looks just like a Gladiator poster, and you're standing there
Yep.
in the funniest costume, and it says Minimus.
He
as the
doesn't
title.
stand a chance.
It's funny. The poster made me have an LOL moment.
Yeah.
That's Los Angeles talk. I had an LOL.
LOL.
I did. Yes, a laugh out loud. Where can we see this? Will it be online?
I think it's going online. I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll Twitter it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll Twitter it.
Yeah.
You'll tweet it in your Twatter book.
Yes, because I've seen a few things of it. I did a bit of ADR on it, but yeah, I think it's going to be a really sweet little tiny thing. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really, really, really good. Really good. Okay, here we go. Before we close out our show in the next few minutes,
Okay.
ask Adam if he was surprised. Oh, this is our good friend Larry. Larry, Mr. Sayre,
Ah.
who you've met
Hello,
quite a
Larry.
few times. Larry was embedded on the set. Larry says, ask Adam if he was surprised by the transition to 3 films and if he expects some nice character bits from him in the extended editions. We want to see more characterizations. We love it.
Yeah.
That's what we love in this type of storytelling, especially because we get to argue about it. It's not in Tolkien. That's what fans do. We love to talk about the minutia.
Yeah.
So what can we see coming up
In
the extended editions?
well, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But yeah, there are little bits that I did that weren't in the feature.
Yeah.
A few bits of dialogue, especially in the Goblin Cave.
Oh wow! So there's more dialogue in that scene.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
I'm trying to think of it. There must be so much that we did.
Troll scene? The thing with the trolls?
Personally, no. I think. Oh no, there was a bit. Yes, there was. There was. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, after the trolls, getting ready. There was a scene. There's a scene where Beaufort and Bomber, I think, are putting on Biffa's trousers, and that was a whole scene, but it was cut. And we all go, "Oh, we really stink." So that might be in it. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Someone says you did a video with Claude Rains, and it looked really fun.
Oh yeah.
How did that come about?
Claude Rains are a Kiwi band, and Graham McTavish's wife is best friends with one of the ladies in it,
Oh, cool.
Heather, and
Cool.
And they thought it'd be a fun afternoon. So we literally had a picnic, and then we just went to a local skate park in Wellington, and
Really?
yeah, and just mucked around for a bit. But it's a good song, I think. Really good song.
That's very clever. Well, I have to look that up.
And
Last question.
Okay.
Last question, guys.
Did you read the books before the movie started? And then, did you ever think when you saw Lord of the Rings in theaters that that would be a part of it?
Great questions. Okay, because you're not on the mic, I'll repeat that. The last question from Mr. Adam Brown, and I hate to eat and run because you're wonderful. It's really, really wonderful to have you here.
No worries.
I wish we could
Sorry,
continue.
I came so late.
No. We're thrilled to have just this perfect time. Did you read the books, read The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings before being involved in this production? And when you saw The Lord of the Rings 10 years ago, did you ever dream that someday you'd be with Peter Jackson in Middle-earth doing this?
I had The Hobbit read to me when I was at primary school.
Excellent. Yeah.
By our teacher. Oh,
Oops. Oh, we've gone back to mood lighting.
Ah,
Back
just
to mood. You know what?
closing in.
We're in 1800 house. We're in that series. We need to light our oil
Candle
candles.
light.
Yeah, candles and oil lamps now. There we go.
Why?
Hello.
Yeah, so I had it read to me, and as I said, I really remember the riddles scene, but that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And I never, ever thought I'd be in Peter Jackson movie. Don't be ridiculous. I remember going to see it with my dad, actually. I was studying at the time, and it used to be a Christmas thing. I'd go home, and you know, my dad loves those kind of movies, and big blockbusters, and we'd go and watch it. And we also took my uncle, and yeah, you know, remember coming out and saying, "Oh, that's amazing, isn't it?" And never thinking that I'd be in it. Actually, when I told my parents that I got it, that night they went round to my auntie and uncles, and they were talking about, you know, as you do, or what are your top 5 movies, what you're looking forward to. And I think my uncle was going, Lord of the Rings, brilliant. Well, I'm really looking forward to that Hobbit that's coming out. I can't wait for that. My mum and dad obviously couldn't. They were sworn to secrecy. They just sat there eating their dinner, going.
And they couldn't say anything that you were in it?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I told them if they'd said it, they couldn't say it until it was announced in the press. Otherwise, we jinxed it all.
I understand that.
When
Yeah.
you told them, what was the reaction?
Well, my dad went, no, you can't, you see, because I don't think it's going to happen. Because it was, you know, do you remember when the
Yes.
it's been on the news, it's not happening.
Yeah, we
And I was-
covered that story. We weren't
Yeah.
sure that MGM would get their shit together so they could make the film. Yeah.
And I was like, no, Dad, it's happening. It is going to happen. And he was like, no. My mum goes, oh, okay, great. If it wasn't Love Actually or Pride and Prejudice, I don't think she's really
Wow.
interested. She far would rather me be in Coronation Street or something, which is
Right.
a
Coronation Street.
yeah.
How funny.
which I'd love to be in.
Oh, yes. It's either Shortland Street or Coronation Street.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
things, yes.
And my brother, was punching the sky, going, yes, come on. Yeah.
It's fantastic. I know we have to wrap it up. We really do. But it's true, simple yes or no, that all those bloody scenes in the river, in those damn barrels, they must have been the most difficult thing to shoot. They must have been.
Yeah, and also the most funnest thing to shoot.
And fun?
Oh my god, so much fun.
Really?
was-
To be wet and in the river all those days after days after days?
Well,
Really?
the fun thing was that it was the only time we were cool. Because we were always hot. The dwarfs was always sweating and everything. So actually, when we were immersed in a cold, freezing river, it was the only time we were in a fat suit and we were going, oh, I'm a bit cold.
That's funny. That's very funny.
Yeah, it was great. Now we had the most fun.
Wonderful.
The most fun on that scene. Like tears were laughing, especially just seeing every take of Stephen Hunter literally being lowered into the barrel, going, oh, this is just priceless.
Funny.
Yeah.
And that was going to be in the first film when it was a 2-film spread.
Mm-hmm.
That scene is something we would have seen in An Unexpected Journey. But now we have to wait until December of this year. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see much more of Adam Brown in The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, which is the second installment of this trilogy, coming out in the United States December 13th or 14th. Coming up soon, right around the corner. And I'm very, very thrilled. Very thrilled to meet you, sir, again.
Yay.
Yet again. I'm really glad that time and circumstance allowed you to come and join us for a bit. And it's been really lovely having you here. We're going to follow you on Twitter at Brown Ads. Is there another website where we should look for more details and more information about your future projects?
No, it'll get posted on there. So yeah, just follow.
Okay,
just
very,
follow us on
very
that.
good. That's excellent. And, well, guys, we have talked about Ori, Nori, and Ori. We've learned details firsthand from this fellow. Yes, that is him, his skeleton, clutching that book in the Fellowship of the Ring. When it came out in 2001, you would never have known that was your ultimate fate. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have known.
So am I potentially one of the only dwarfs to appear in 4 movies?
That's true, dude. On fire. The man's on fire now. It's true. That means literally you're ahead of the game. I love it. I love the way you think. I really, really do. Look for his new short film, Minimus. I'm sure it's going to be very, very fun, and you'll give us more details about that online. And any other last messages out to the interwebs?
No, just see you after 10 weeks in New Zealand when I go back on Friday. So
Yes.
yeah,
Will you be staying in LA for long? Just until Friday, right?
just till Friday. Yeah.
Until Friday? I wonder if we can arrange a trip to the Magic Castle or something like that. Maybe. Well, I'll have to pull some strings and see what we can do. So, until next week, I think we're going to talk about Biffer and Boffer and Bomber next week as we continue our series on Torn Tuesday. I'm Clifford Broadway signing off. There's Justin, I love Jar Jar Sewell in the background. He's saying hello and he's signing off. Matt Musgrove, our valet, our very handsome valet, Mr. Strapping Lad, and Mr. Adam Brown. More power to you, my friend. More power to you.
Thank you.
Well done. Well
Thank you.
done.
Thanks for having me.
And well, no, thank you for being so spontaneous and wonderful.
Literally.
Okay? Everybody says good night, goodbye. Thank you for answering your questions. Yes, thank you guys for bringing your questions. It's been a great show, and now we're signing off until next week. Thank you again.